This is the new Mercedes AMG E63s, and it's a little bit like a French Bulldog because it's definitely better in the grey colour. Always go for the grey colour. Now in this video I'm going to tell you all about this car, the updates they made on the outside and on the inside, and the changes over the normal E-Class. And of course I'm going to take it for a drive. I'm going to launch it to see how quick it is to 60 miles an hour and over the standing quarter mile. And I might do some hooning as well. In fact, there's a very good chance I might destroy its tyres. Anyway, I'm Matt Watson, this is Boomer, and you're watching Carwow. And there's a train going past because we're in the centre of London. In fact, this guy over here was walking past with his dog, and so I just dog-napped him to get him in the video. That's why you're here, mate.
Buying a new car? Then head to Carwow, and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Carwow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start off by talking about the price. So if you want a purebred French Bulldog like Boomer, you're looking at around £3,000. Thankfully, you can save an average of £500 off a French Bulldog through DogWow. And if you click on that, yeah, stupid. If you're after a Mercedes AMG E63, they start from £99,500, and you can save an average of £7,000 off on through Carwow. Now, if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can go to Carwow to see how much money you can save on a new car. Alternatively, if you want to just check out Carwow at a later date to compare offers on cars and get some help from my team and I about which is the best car for you, just simply Google "Help Me Carwow." You can go straight there. We're in central London. That's what it's like. There's lots of these in central London, so it's the right place to film it. But don't worry, I'll be taking it on a quiet track later to give it a jolly good thraping. Here at the back, the design upgrades over the normal E-Class include a little boot spoiler. You've got your AMG badging there and your E63s badging there as well. You've got a sportier rear bumper with an integrated diffuser here in gloss black. Doesn't diffuse anything, it's just for show. As are these quad tailpipes. Now, if you look inside there, you'll see the actual rear exhaust, and there are two each side, but they just look so weird and ugly, so you can understand why Mercedes put these on. It's nonsense. Here at the sides, the E63s get some sporty side skirts. You also have a badge which says V8 by Turbo 4MATIC Plus. Yeah. And there's a little fake vent in there. I don't know why they did that. Then there's the wheels, 20-inch alloys as standard, and they're what Mercedes call high sheen finish wheel flange. Don't know which bit is the flange. Flange sounds a bit rude. Flange. You also get some widened wheel arches which look really cool. And in the UK, all E63Ss are in the night edition pack. So you get rear privacy glass and black surrounds for the windows. It's nice. Here at the front, the AMG version is 27mm wider than the normal Mercedes E-Class. Though you're never going to notice that unless you get your tape measure out. What you will notice is the completely redesigned front bumper, which is all very much AMG. So you've got AMG's latest slatted grille, which is sort of like turned upside down, so it looks like it's kind of like angry. Huge air vents about the place. No fakery here because you've got massive radiators literally everywhere. Radiator, 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 radiator to just cool that big, powerful V8 engine underneath the bonnet. This thing has some presence. I love the look of it. Let's talk about the chassis upgrades over the normal E-Class. So you get sporty air suspension with adaptive dampers that have 1, 2, and 3 different settings. Now, apparently Mercedes has actually tweaked the air suspension on this car compared to the old E63s to make it a little bit more comfortable over bumps while still retaining that sporty edge for when you want to have some fun. The E63s now gets dynamic engine mounts as standard in the UK, so they can actually vary how much they hold the engine tight in the engine bay depending on the driving conditions. So they'll keep it nice and tight when you get around the corner quickly, and they'll slacken off when you're just driving normally so that the car feels more relaxed. You get some seriously upgraded brakes over the standard E-Class. So you've got 390mm discs up front, gripped by 6 piston calipers. Like the fact that they're painted red and have AMG on them. And then at the back you've got 360mm discs gripped by a single piston caliper. If you want to, you can upgrade to carbon ceramic brakes if you're going to do lots of track work, but they are expensive though. The E63s has a 9-speed automatic gearbox with multi-clutches and launch control, and I'll launch it in a bit, but I've got some other things to tell you, such as the 4-wheel drive system, which is really, really clever because you can send 100% of the power to the rear wheel, so it has a rear drive bias feeling to it, this car, and you can even disengage the front axle so it's properly rear wheel drive, and when you combine that with a rear limited slip differential, you can have quite a bit of fun. So this car has something silly called drift mode. To enable it, you have to turn off the stability control, make sure you're in manual mode for the gearbox, And then you pull up on both paddles, and then you pull up on the right paddle to confirm that you want drift mode. And then the four-wheel drive system just sends power to the rear wheels. No one's ever going to use it on the road. Only motoring journalists on tracks. But hey, it's still fun. What a mad little car. Whee! I say mad. Little. It's not little. It's just nuts. Just check the tyres aren't too hot. I'm getting into a bit of a mess. Oh. And that brings you on to 5 annoying things about this car. One of the problems with this car is that if you behave like a hooligan, which you'll want to, this can happen. You can end up shredding your tyres all too easily. This car's a great sounding engine, but you can't really appreciate it and show it off to your friends when you're stationary. So I've got the exhaust in its loudest setting. Have a listen to this. Come on, give me a pop and a bang. There we go, that's right. Come on, and again, come on. That's right. But you can't rev it all the way up because of the latest noise regulations. It means that Mercedes has fitted this thing with an annoying soft limiter. God, that's so Audi. All Mercedes cars have the Mercedes signature there on the windscreen, which I guess is okay if you've got a normal Mercedes. But this is an AMG. I paid £100,000 for an AMG. I want it to say AMG. I wonder if I can pick this off. This carbon fibre trim, the gloss covering, has an uneven surface. So you'll notice it if you move your head from side to side. Just do that. You should be able to pick it up just about on camera. Now, when you're driving along and obviously you've got trees and stuff that you're passing by, they end up reflecting in that and flickering, and you really notice that uneven surface, and it draws your eye to it, which means your eyes aren't on the road, which isn't ideal from a safety point of view. When you're manoeuvring at low speeds, the rear brakes make this odd sound that's a bit like you're walking on some creaky floorboards. Sort of spooky. This is supposed to be a luxury car, not a haunted house.
Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5.
The best thing about this E63 is its twin-turbo 4-litre V8. Look, you can even see the turbos in there, which are in the centre of the V configuration of the engine, so the air has less distance to go to the intake. Now, this engine puts out 571 horsepower and 750 newton meters of torque in the normal E63, but in this S version, those figures increase to 612 horsepower and 850 newton meters of torque. And this engine has been hand-built by one person, and they've signed it here. I've no idea what their name is because their signature's a little bit hard to read. But if you work for AMG and that's your signature, let me know in the comments what your name is. You can control all these cars' major driving functions using these two dials here, so you can like scroll between the different driving modes like individual, comfort, sport, sport plus and race using this one. And then you can actually toggle between different settings of things like the exhaust, the stability control, the suspension settings, lots of different things, manual or automatic mode for the gearbox, the stop-start system. It's all very easy to use. It means you don't have to take your eyes off the road to faff around to control them down here, but you can do if you want to, if you like to be less safe. If you look here, you'll see the car has a built-in dash cam, which means that if you're involved in an accident, you can actually record the footage, download it onto a memory stick and take it off to court. Alternatively, if you're on a track day, you can actually use the dash cam to record your laps, so you can analyse them at a later date. Unlike other AMGs, which have bucket seats with integrated headrests, the E63 doesn't. It has a traditional separate headrest, which means that your view from the rear isn't sublocked. Yes, you can tell this is still a family car at heart. With the Amg Track Pace app, you can time yourself around various tracks. So you've got Silverstone listed there, but you can search for other tracks. They're all in there. Look, Spa, Francorchamps, there we go. Like, I could choose that if I wanted to. There's also a drag race feature where it'll time you over the Sunning quarter mile and do 0 to 60 as well. And there's general telemetry, so you can look at your driving performance and analyse it, and then be very harsh on yourself and realise you're not that great a driver after all. Yeah, I'm sort of talking from experience. Before we go driving, I just want to talk you through the interior upgrades over the standard E-Class. So this AMG gets some AMG sport seats, which are really nice, and comfy and supportive. You also get that carbon fibre on the dash, which I've already mentioned. There's some more carbon fibre here. You've got your AMG logo on the centre console. You've got AMG mats, you've got AMG kit plates. There's leather up here as standard. In fact, there's loads of standard kit on this car, so you get stuff such as the parking cameras as standard, 590 watt Burmester sound system. Then there's the AMG Sport steering wheel, which is part leather, part Alcantara, and the Alcantara feels lovely to hold. Though the rim itself is a little bit too fat for my liking. You've got some enlarged gear selector paddles, so they're slightly larger than the previous generation of this E63. And you've got the new steering wheel design, which has these two spokes here, and touch sensitive buttons for controlling the infotainment system and the instruments in the digital driver's display. Though I'm not so keen on the touch sensitive buttons themselves because they can be a bit fiddly to use. Speaking of the gauges, you've got AMG information there like G meter and torque and horsepower and all that kind of stuff. And you can change the look of the dials as well if you want, from classic to sport to super sport. Here in the back, you've got loads of knee room and headroom like in the normal E-Class. Quality extends all the way back here, so leather and Burmester sound system. And you still get the sporty seats like you did in the front, which is nice. It does stand out compared to the normal E-Class. It's lovely back here actually. But would I prefer this or an Audi RS6? Well, I actually had an RS6 for 6 months, and if you'd like to see what I thought about that car and what it was like to live with, I'll put a link up there. If you click on that, you can go watch that video. Finally, we have the boot, which has a capacity of 540 litres, which is 10 litres more than in a BMW M5. But if you need even more room than that, you can get an estate version of this car, which has a boot capacity of 640 litres. That's one of the great things about the E63. You can have it as either a saloon or an estate, whereas the BMW M5 is just a saloon and the Audi RS6 is just an estate. Okay, let's see what this E63s is like to drive. And I'm going to start with the area where it wasn't so good at in the past, and that was just being a daily driver. The suspension was just too firm. You know, any speed hump or pothole, you get this horrible jarring sensation. But they've tweaked the suspension. They've made it softer. They've made it more compliant, and it is better. It's noticeably better. Now, it doesn't feel quite as chilled as something like an Audi RS6. There's still a kind of firm, sporty edge to it that reminds you that this is the AMG version, which I kind of like, but it's not uncomfortable. You don't have that trade-off that you are feeling compromised. It's fine. They really have improved this. If you were put off by an E63s in the past because of the ride comfort, check this new version out. It's good. There is still the problem with tyre noise. When you get at speed on the motorway, you notice it can get quite noisy in here, especially if you're on rougher surfaces. It's not as quiet for long distance work as the Audi RS6. It's just not. But once again, it's not terrible. You can forgive it when it comes to the performance. So, good chance to talk about the torque of the engine and the responsiveness of this gearbox. So I'm in comfort mode now. Let's get it down to 40. There I am, just pooting along. Oh, I need to suddenly go quickly. Floor the accelerator. Bit of a breath while the gearbox thinks about what to do, and then before you know it, oh my god, you're at illegal speeds. That was in comfort mode, so I'm going to put it into Sports Plus. So I've got the suspension now in its firmest setting, and all the responses of the car a little bit more alert, so the steering feels heavier, the throttle response is snappier, the gear changes will be quicker. So if I do that same thing again from 40 miles an hour, here we go. Yeah, it's on it quicker. Woo! And then there's the handling. I think this handles beautifully. It's got a good balance to it. You can really feel what the chassis is doing beneath you, so you can play with the weight transfer and really just enjoy the car moving around. Yet it's stable and predictable. And the steering's got a nice meaty feel to it. You can tell what the front wheels are doing. It does feel like a real proper sporty car, and it makes it fun. It really does. So does the fact that power is being sent to the rear. It's really got this rear drive bias feel to it, though you know you've got the security of four-wheel drive to help pull you out of a corner, or if things get a bit leery, you floor the throttle and it'll pull you straight. It's so good. I love it. And it's an absolute monster. On the road, this thing is just ballistic. You have to be careful though, because it's still quite big, so you're on a twisty back road and it can feel too big at times because you're hammering along at such a rate, and then another car comes the other way and you're like, oh shoot, what am I doing? What am I doing? And you have to calm back down. It's an absolute beast. But it's no good being able to go really fast if this car can't stop very well. So let's do a brake test from 70 miles an hour, check out the brakes. Oh, what do you get? What's the distance? 43 meters? That is good. for a big car like this. Nice brakes. Anyway, let's get going again. Speaking of which, why don't we launch it? So Mercedes says this car will be able to do 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, but what is the truth? We're going to find out. I'm going to use the specialist timing gear again.
How can I help?
It's always the way with Mercedes. You can't say the M word, otherwise the voice commands just pipe up. Go away. Cancel. 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 Cancel.
I'm sorry, but I can't help you with it right now.
Okay, so I'm going to launch it, and it's dead easy to do because this car will launch in any setting you have apart from comfort. So all you have to do, left foot on the brake, floor the throttle, goes into race start, release the brake. Blimey. 3.09 seconds to 60. Let's do the quarter mile. $11.23. It's so nuts, and it's so consistent. So then, what's my final verdict on the Mercedes E63s? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should just go right ahead and buy the E63s. It's an absolute beast, and I love it. I do really love it.